Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Happy Monday, guys. Happy transfer portal season open portal Monday. Happy Godfather returning Monday. Happy Slingin' Sorsby returning Monday. Happy Crosstown Shootout Week Monday for all those who celebrate. And you know what, guys? It's a Monday as well where I get to bring in the crew. We're all together, fully assembled, ready to rock, ready to roll, all things Bearcats. So without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, how are we?
I'm good. Just trying to, it's been a busy day. Trying to get stuff organized and get us ready to go, and lots of info flying around. So it's a good Monday, just a busy Monday.
Busy is a good thing. Busy is a good Monday. So
yeah,
that's what we like to talk about. A little basketball on Sunday, a little whole entire football weekend if you are into watching all those other things. And if you peel away from the Simpsons show tonight, we're glad to have you here. I've got that turned on, and I'm always pretty fascinated by these. The Toy Story one was awesome last year. Desmond Ritter just slinging the rock and as a little Toy Story guy. So we'll see how this one goes. But Aaron, sir, how are we?
I'm doing all right. I see Chelsea saying hello from Cancun in the chat. I would not ever be. I love you guys, but I would not ever be watching any of this. I wouldn't even have YouTube running at any point in time while in Cancun. So I can't wrap my mind around that. But outside of that,
let's not chastise people for watching, Aaron.
Yeah. Let's tell them to leave.
Just
get the F
wild.
out of here.
No, I appreciate it. I'm just saying we are not the same. That said, potty training's still a work in progress. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay. But I like that weekly update.
I know you do.
There we go, man. There we go. Well, glad to have you. Excited for to see what you have to say about all the events that have been taking place recently. So can't wait to dive into that. But before I ask, I got to ask the boy, Mr. Royer, how are we, sir?
Doing good, man. Had a solid weekend. Just excited to be here. Nothing really big, but had a good one. So excited to get the week started with you guys.
Gosh, speaking of getting the week started, man, this is kind of the perfect little kind of week to make sure before the Christmas season kicks into full gear, before New Year's kicks into full gear. You're gonna be traveling. You're gonna be driving to the Crosstown Shootout. Maybe you want to go check out some sort of a bowl game, if you will. Maybe head over to South Bend on a certain Friday. If you don't want to do that because there's a big Cincinnati basketball game that same night. But if you're going to be traveling anywhere, you should head over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care first and foremost. Danco Joe will hook you up, get you $10 off on oil change, 10% off your next fixing. Head over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. We love you, Danco Joe. So, guys, big news came out today. Big news. First, it started last week with the announcing of Brendan Sorsby signing back on with the Bearcats, if you will. And then, of course, today, massive news comes out that Dante Corleone, the Godfather, is bypassing a shot at the NFL for just one more season to come back home, final year with the Bearcats, red and black. The Godfather himself making a huge move. Gentlemen, it's some earth-shattering news for Bearcat fans. Made any dreary Monday a happier one, if you will. But as far as the news coming out, your guys' initial reactions when you started to hear it, and of course your reaction to what it does for this football team. Obviously, it's a big thing both on and off the field. Chad, massive news.
I mean, those are two of your three most important pieces, I think, when it comes to retention. You had to get your quarterback back. You invested strategically, you purposely invested in Brendan Sorsby in part because he had 3 years of college football remaining. If he only comes for one and then he's not back, like that defeats the purpose of one of the reasons you brought him in, is because he had multiple years to grow and to develop in your system. They're able to keep Sorsby, which is, gigantic. And then also able to keep Dante as kind of the staple, the stalwart in the middle of your defense. That in a lot of ways shows, one, the locker room is still bought in. People are bought into the coaching staff. It shows that the NIL is healthy and in a good place. You can't talk about, as Zach Grant did, high school recruiting isn't, of the three, major factors with NIL, player retention, transfer portal, high school recruiting. You can't say high school recruiting, we have moved to the bottom of the list to prioritize the other two and then not be strong in the other two. So Sorsby back, Corleone back, Joe Royer, you're waiting to hear a decision from him. From there, I think you just kind of build around that. But if you have your three cornerstone pieces, and the sense I get is Royer is making that NFL decision, which he earned every right to do. And I think there's a chance he could stay. I think there's a chance he could go. I don't think it is anything that is set in stone already. So, they're waiting on that decision from Royer, but it's very good to have the first two pieces back in place. Aaron, why are you hammering at your keys? Holy shit.
Yeah, that was some loud typing.
Aggressive, bro.
Sounds like a typewriter.
The microphone is directly next to the keyboard, so my bad.
Holy, I mean, like you're typing in anger, like Karen.
Oh,
relax.
right.
I'm not typing. It's just Control C, Control V. It's a lot of Control C and Control V.
Take it
I was
easy.
McDonald's
That
messed
keyboard's
up
gonna
your kid's
break.
order. You're writing an email.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's like my
Just
my
moving
buddy in
mailbag
college.
questions. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. That's like my buddy in college. He didn't bring up McDonald's. He was so mad he didn't have a lot of breakfast sauce on one of his breakfast sandwiches one time. Sent emails and tweets back in the day before this was big. Twitter was a big thing. Got free McDonald's for a whole year just because he just kept on just harassing them, saying, "Hey, this is horrible."
I got a great story.
Oh,
so they did the little like putting challenge thing.
I've got an even better story for this. Keep going. Yeah.
So Royer, they did the putting challenge thing, right? Where you're like all the way far, like on the other end of the court, and you have to knock it through a hole that's just bigger than a golf ball. So the guy putts it all the way, makes it, and then they realize that this is the same guy that a year ago hit a half-court shot for a free year of Chick-fil-A. He was just about out of the free year of Chick-fil-A, and then he hits the putt through the hole. Now he wins another free year of Chick-fil-A.
Wait, those don't seem like equivalent challenges. Like putting across the court. Is it across the whole court?
No, just from half court.
Half court.
I still think that's way harder than a half court shot.
I agree.
Yeah.
You got to win like a car or something, or like 10K for a putt like that.
But it's free Chick-fil-A every day, 365 days worth of Chick-fil-A.
All you can eat.
They give you a stack of like free chicken sandwich, free chicken nuggets, free fries, whatever. They give you a stack to make up 365 days worth of Chick-fil-A.
Wow.
And
not a bad 2 years for the guy.
Back-to-back years. And get this, come to find out, just through the wide web of social media, that guy is cousins with one of my good buddies from back in Indiana, Joe Ardiolo. Shout out Joe Ardiolo.
Shout out
big
Joe.
Purdue fan, so shout out to the boy. But yeah, randomly he just posted, "Oh, my cousin is so lucky. He's won back-to-back years of Chick-fil-A." I was like, wait a minute. I know this. But yeah, It's amazing. I haven't gotten that lucky ever. Aaron?
At some point, it ceases to be luck. That's not your cousin's lucky. That's your cousin is skilled.
Yeah.
He should be hired by Trick Shot.
Right.
Dude, perfect.
That's
Making a
the one.
comeback.
Those guys. Well, anyway, sorry for that little diversion, Dante and Sorsby, but we needed to have it.
We were talking
Royer.
real business.
Royer, we're talking real business, but we're talking real business for the football team next year. Chad kind of mentioned it, and I agree. Probably two of the three most important positions, especially with the type of defense that Tyson Vite likes to run. And of course, just the guy that Dante is. Chad, obviously, you tease it a little bit for this Wednesday. That'll be must listen, must see footage content, if you will.
Yeah.
But Royer, just the effects that this has on, because obviously when you were on the team, there was multiple off seasons where big announcements coming back kind of probably fueled a lot of excitement in the locker room and around the team. So just what these announcements do for both on the field and off.
It signals that our coaches, they have a good sense of the heartbeat of the team, the locker room, especially on the Dante side of things, knowing that getting Dante believing in this team, in this city, this program, because if I know obviously going 3-9 and then 5-7 doesn't look that great. We all hate it, but a guy like Dante, who's been with the highs of the highs with Coach Fickle and that staff, and had two kind of rough years, but he obviously believes in Coach Satterfield, believes in the program and what's going on, or he wouldn't come back, because Dante could have went and made a bunch of money in the NFL. So I think he senses like that they're right on that cusp of breaking through. We talked about that 8-win ceiling next year. Dante must be feeling like that's not that far of a reach for him to want to come back, because playing on a bad team, no one wants to play on a bad team, especially when you're from Cincinnati. You love the city, you love the Seapaw. So I think it's a good sign of the sign of things to come. Now we just gotta have 22 plus everyone else, all 100 guys, whatever the limit is now, that they got to have that same kind of buy-in. But like Chad mentioned, with him being a big part of the defense, three-man front, having a guy like him who can reliably eat up blocks, let our linebackers buy some time to flow to the run fit, something I think we got better at the end of the year. That's going to hopefully translate well through the off season. But also having like that kind of senior, guy who's been here, knows the program. There's going to be a lot of new guys. There's going to be young guys in the D-line that need coached up. I guarantee you they're going to go try and get guys, and having a guy like Dante with the reps, with knowing the culture, bleeding Cincinnati, born and raised, it's going to be able to kind of get that D-line room, stay in check, keep on the mission. So that's a huge get. And then Sorsby, on the other hand, man, we all knew this offense lives and dies with him. Because the run attack was solid all year, but you kind of saw like when he's on, man, our offense is just humming, and everyone could see the talent. Everyone knew the talent he had coming in. We kind of got on him early, and it was a great steal, so to say, for us to kind of get a guy of that caliber, and knowing that our staff recognized his importance to the offense and being able to lock him down. Because I guarantee you there are plenty of schools who are sliding into Mr. Sorsby's DM. So It's good. It's a good sign of things to come. You got to have two anchors on both sides of the ball, and I think it's a good sign. So good start to the freshly new off season that we are about to embark on for the extended no bowl period.
Yeah. Chad, I think this is the perfect example of what Zach Grant was talking about on the BCJ pod, about how retention is kind of in a lot of ways a lot more important than any other recruitment that there is out there. And this is up there with some of the best retention that any team in the country probably has. So
I don't know if I'd get too carried away with it.
Oh, quarterback and a 3-time first team all conference defensive tackle. That's a
teams that are keeping their best players. Like it's
fair. one of the better. One of the better. There we go. One of the better
Yeah.
ones. Aaron, time wise on this, gotta think it's a good time to kind of lock into vocal leaders when obviously now the portal opens up. Now you've got probably the ability to kind of whisper in the ears of some other guys that might be trying to make that decision of whether to come, whether to go. I think obviously it's a perfect storm for all that.
Yeah,
I can tell you, I know. I can tell you, I know Sorsby has been very active in trying to cultivate new teammates.
There we go.
Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry, my bad.
That's a good way to put it, Chad.
I was going to say I would hope that this wasn't when he was starting, because you would think that a lot of people who are going to be entering the portal may have already had those plans well before now. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got vocal leaders on both sides of the ball. That's obviously a huge get. You have the quarterback, and you have where it all starts on the defensive line in Dante. And with him having been around for so long and having been a stalwart of this team for, truthfully, it feels like at this point about as far back as I can remember. It's great to have him back in the fold. He could have gone to the NFL, and to have an NFL caliber player leading things from the nose tackle position and just kind of starting the flow of that defense every snap. It's what you want. So I don't know. I think that you have a lot of young guys from last season that I would imagine looked up to him after having come from what he described as the most difficult season of his entire life. And you would think that carries a little bit of weight as well. So you have him in there and kind of leading the charge for off-season workouts and showing how serious he is. He came back. We've all talked about this being a feather in the cap of the current staff, as showing a solidarity with them and buying into what it is that they're selling. And he certainly had options. It wasn't as if this was the only thing that Dante Corleone could do. And same with Brendan Sorsby. So you got to feel good about it at this point in time. I know that the results aren't where we want them to be currently, but you have to feel good about where you're heading.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Dante kind of put it best, and obviously a couple of things. The one article on GoBearcats.com, he said, it's my goal to elevate this program back to where it was when I arrived here in 2021. So that's just a guy that has that kind of that bridge from the dominant success, trying to continue to bring that up, because it transcends past coaching. It's the program itself wants to continue to bring that back. So I thought that was awesome. Then I did like him mentioning Simeon Coleman, just, kind of out of the blue in the article with Keegan. It just shows, he's got that connect where he's trying to get these young guys with him, and kind of build the culture, build everything that you will, that it's all a good thing in the end. Royer, I thought you were about to chime in there, but quick thing though.
I was just going to say, just I've been bouncing this back and forth in my head, kind of the whole scenario that this NIL transfer portal thing has become. With, we had signing day come up, and then the portal opens up, and it's almost like it seems like this staff has kind of made it clear that their mission is to fill a lot of their immediate needs with the portal. And I was kind of wondering, like, how do you guys kind of navigate that balance in your head, and what you think importance should lie at? Because it's almost like you're dealing with, in comparison to the NFL, like you're trying to get those, it's like those late season signs. You're trying to sign like those kind of like veteran guys that they're kind of at the back end of their prime, but you're going to try to make a push with them and not really looking to re-sign them at the end of the year. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from college football. And I'm just wondering, like, do you think that the coaching staff is on the right track with, prioritizing signing holes instead of developing them?
So Ryan, if your goal is to do this through high school, and you're going to spend all your money on high school kids, then your goal is to be really good in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
They don't have 2 to 3 years.
No, I
Like,
know.
So, I don't think it's anything like signing guys. Like, you're not pulling guys off the waiver wire. You're bringing in, and hopefully what they've done a lot of is trying to bring in guys with multiple years. So you're not just constantly like trying to put your finger in the dam. Like, you're trying, and there's, just the nature of what's available. You're going to get some guys that are in their last year. But ideally, you're finding guys that have 2 and 3 years left that are going to immediately come in and be part of your core group. You're too deep. I don't think, based on where this roster is now, you hope as time goes on, you get the roster in a better place, and then you can shift more back to, some focus on the high school stuff. But as it stands right now, you have a very limited amount of resources. This is not Ohio State or Alabama, whatever. Let's hypothetically, if you've got $3 million and you try to spread that over 3 different things that you're trying to be equally good at, the reality is you're probably not going to be good at any of them.
Yeah.
So if you have to allocate, I think right now, given the situation where this football program is, you don't have 2 to 3 years. You don't have a redshirt year, and then a guy comes in and plays a little bit as a redshirt freshman, and then you hope by the time year 3 hits and he's a redshirt sophomore that he's ready to start or whatever.
Or he doesn't leave.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Can leave but anybody can leave anymore. Like, I don't even, everybody, that's Jordan Young stayed for 2 years and now he's in the portal. Like, everybody can leave. But I don't know how you do it any other way. Like, I understand.
I agree with you. I just wanted to, throw the idea out there.
I don't know how. I don't know. I would be more upset if it was like, we're not worried about the portal, we're going to focus on high school guys. I would think that would be a signal of the ship sinking. Yeah. Although he just made the college football playoff.
Just made the playoff. Yeah. He did a good job signing that kicker. I'll tell you that much.
I'll say that it's almost like, I feel like anyone should probably favor the portal a little bit more, because it's like we were just saying, I feel like the odds of you signing a guy from high school and like, unless he's like starting like by his second year, because a lot of these kids will be like, well, I could go play at a max school now, or I could, I got some tape. I'm gonna go try and get some more, go play at a bigger program because I think I'm better for some reason, or like I'm not getting the amount of playing time that I want. I just feel like the whole concept of like building up a team from the bottom up is just, it's getting made obsolete, like all across college football. And it's, I'm just wondering how this staff will handle like that transition. Like, let's say next year we go 8-4, like, are we just going to keep living and dying by that philosophy? Or do you think there'll be at some point, like if we have success, that we'll ever be able to go back to like really developing high school recruits?
So the important thing to note here is we believe in January revenue share is going to start. Okay. So then you're going to have a much bigger war chest to allocate between the 3 things. Now everybody is going to have more money at that point, but you're not like, if you go out knowing how much I'm hearing some high school kids cost, if you go out and get 2 blue chip high school guys, like they wouldn't have any money to get anyone else in the high school class.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so that will change things pretty drastically because you're going to have a lot more money. I mean, from what I'm hearing around the country, there's $22 million that's going to be out. Everybody's going to have $20 million to spend. My understanding is most athletic departments are going to put 70 to 75% of that money to football. So you're going to have $15 million to spend on players, where right now they've got 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So that
definitely makes it. You can retain guys. You can pay guys more as a high school. Yeah, that's good. I think that, because that kind of, it essentially is just you're kind of
Nuts.
you're evening it back to the point where like you can't afford to recruit guys, and you can kind of like throw a recruiting pitch and not it just be about money. So I think that'll definitely help. And, you know, because you'll see it's so hard, like, unless you're like that infinite money pool types of teams where you can retain your best players, you can go out and buy immediate need right away. And like, that's how those programs can kind of like cheat code this NIL thing,
Yeah.
where like programs like us, we're kind of like scratching and clawing just to find a way to make this work. I think it'll be good to kind of be able to sustain programs and, you know, be able to focus a little bit more on like making better football players, building a team based off of like a system and a culture, and not just, you know, let's go sign this one guy right now because we have to win right now, and we're just hoping that he's going to be what his 40 reps on tape that we saw from a bigger school, or more clips at a lower level program. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to pick your guys' brain on that one.
Just playing devil's advocate, the salary cap for the NBA, for the NFL, it goes up every year. And in turn, salaries go up every year. So I would maybe be not so optimistic as you sound, in that it's just going to mean that the players are all making more money as opposed to having all of this money now to allocate that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
I think the perfect scenario, though, would be that you have a good mix of retention, a good mix of development, and then you do have the ability to use the portal for not only finding multiple year people, but also having the chance to get a 1 year plug and play type of player, you know, impact player. And I think that's what you see at the, you know, at the higher levels of the sport.
Sat talked about it Wednesday. Like, ultimately what they want to do is they want to go 20 kids in high school.
Yeah.
12 to 14 kids from the portal.
Yeah, I heard him say that. Yeah. Right.
Like, that's the blueprint that I think they are working to get towards. And that, from what I've heard, that should be about where it is this year. 12 to 15 guys in the portal. They signed 19 high school guys. Like, that's the mindset of where they want to be every year. And it sounds like they're going to be close to it this year.
Yeah. Which, I mean, obviously basketball is a lot easier to kind of break it down because the numbers aren't as crazy as you know, a football roster. But I mean, you just look at what, you know, all these players that said they wanted to come back and play for West to achieve a bigger goal. I think once you get that sort of a buy-in, and it seems like you started to get that with Dante, and obviously with the other players that are kind of bidding their due towards the entire program. And I mean, you know, when you get Pete Thamel tweeting out star defensive tackle Dante Corleone is back, and then what are you guys' thoughts on? Because I obviously Sorsby was one of the first ones I saw that sort of a tweet crafted about from Pete Thamel was, you know, it reaches a new deal with the Bearcats. Like that wording is just so weird.
Restructured contract.
Right, but he's obviously he's done it for numerous quarterbacks and other players that have, you know, reached a new deal to return to X school. I guess that's just where we are in college sports right now.
Yeah,
it is what it is, right?
Right.
Like that's exactly what he did. Is he reached a new deal? They've been. The quiet little secret is they've been doing this for decades. Now you're just hearing about it.
I know. How did Reggie Bush get that Escalade? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting ordeal. So I mean, here we are. It's exciting to have those pieces, especially on the defensive line, where you see obviously Jalen Hunt went down with injury. Hopefully he comes back, and him and Dante will be a pretty dominant force. And even he was getting some looks on the outside as well. And then, you know, Micah Coleman hopefully comes back from his injury and fills that need at the edge. And then now this is a perfect segue into what we've seen as far as the portal itself. Obviously it opened up today, and the amount of players entering the portal is insane. So far, Cincinnati, obviously, if you follow along on the board, there's a good track of keeping who has entered the portal and who hasn't. I mean, Jordan Young was a name that kind of came up and was a starter entering the portal. Kalen Carroll, another one, Cam Wilson, Drogosh, Schmitz, Taylor, Sterling Burkhalter, Jonathan Harder. Any just your guys' thoughts on the outgoing names so far? I mean, it's just obviously it's the portal is just a crazy thing to break in and really dive into, but kind of think that what the Jordan Young one was one that was obviously 2-year starter here, enters the portal, as Chad mentioned, 2 years here, and now he's back in the portal. So just your thoughts on opening portal day and so far what we've seen traction as far as those entering from the Bearcats. Aaron?
Good luck. Thank you for your service. I mean, they were here. They did what they came to do, and now they have decided to move along to find greener pastures. So I'm not going to fault anybody for doing it. I'm not going to hold ill will or anything like that. There were Kalen Carroll and Jonathan Harder were two guys that I got to know during their recruitment and through their commitments and what have you when I was covering their class. And there's Jonathan Thompson and Ethan Green might be the only two left of that class, I think.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Quite the outgoing class. Yeah.
But you just have to figure out what's next. So I don't know that you necessarily have a next guy up for losing two of your top 3 or 4 spots at that cornerback position. So got to start figuring some things out real quick.
Yeah, there were obviously a lot of young players, so the freshmen that were exciting at the corner spot, and Jordan Robinson he's got that length, and Ormani Arnold, obviously another one. But yeah, as far as names that have been offered so far by the Bearcats, anything drawing your attention when it comes to those? I mean, obviously it looks like
Not
3 wide. Oh, okay.
I was going to say not yet, because I think right now, and Zach talked about this, like day 1, day 2, you have to be, if you have even a slight bit of interest,
right?
This is speed dating. You have to jump in. So even if you're not all in on the guy, but it's a possibility, you have to offer and get the process started. Right. So, I think this weekend they'll have guys, and what a better place to bring guys in. They're going to bring guys in and send them to the crosstown shootout. Like,
right.
That's going to give guys a pretty favorable view of what is possible here in terms of fan support and excitement and all that stuff. So, but like those first 2 weekends of visits, or first 2 weeks, because some of them these are transfer guys. There's guys that'll come in during the week. And not just guys that are going to pop in for weekend visits. So the first 10 days or so, I think, are pretty important to kind of get a feel for who they're serious about. Now, we know through experience, we'll get some of the names. We probably won't get all of them. Like they kept Jake Golday about as like hidden as you could possibly keep a human being last year during this process.
On purpose.
On purpose, because they didn't want other people to find, like they thought they found a guy that was really, really good from a lower level, and they didn't want to tip off anybody else to what was happening. So for, self-perseverance reasons, I'm sure they would have loved to have kept George Gums quiet, because he ended up being a great player in the SEC. How different does this defense look if you have one of the best edge rushers in the SEC standing next to Dante Corleone? Yeah. So for those reasons, there will be guys that you're not going to find out about until probably they enroll in the first week of January.
Yeah.
But right now, what you're seeing is everybody signing up for their speed dating event. And a million offers are going to go out today and tomorrow and Wednesday. And then visits will start being set up, and guys will start coming to town, and you'll start to get a better idea of who they're actually looking for. I think they're looking for a couple offensive linemen, a couple receivers. Those are pretty obvious. I do think they want a blocking tight end. I've seen that they won a corner or two, a safety, probably 3 guys total, 3 or 4 guys total in the secondary. Have to get a defensive end, a pass rushing defensive end. I think that's an absolute necessity.
Yep.
And the start doing the numbers, and that adds up right around to that 12 to 14 number pretty quick.
Yeah. Obviously the names that I mean, Dave and Keegan and Chad, you guys have all done a really great job just kind of keeping that thread readily available, and obviously it's all over X as well. But yeah, obviously seeing 3 wide receivers, a running back, a tight end, 2 tackles, 2 edge, 3 linebackers, a cornerback, a kicker. So and kind of a variety. So some guys. I mean, the running back was the Ivy League Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, there's some big time targets being put out there as well, and you obviously see the offers that they're bringing in. So day one, and it's only going to continue to get even more crazy from here on out. As far as timing wise, are you kind of more inclined to, you mentioned the first 10 days obviously are pretty important for these, but you saw Dillingham talking about, the teams that have college football playoff aspirations that are playing later on. It's a different way to approach what you tell your players on the team. I don't know. It just seems like, are you all in this early part, or are you kind of just maybe hold a couple scholarships in your back pocket just in case? It's a hard way to really spin through. Yeah. You don't want to be left holding it when you run out of time, if you will.
Now, if you end up with a couple extra at that point, then great.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can just sit back and say, we're not going to go on something like we want 3 offensive linemen, but we're only going to take 2 and then see if we can get something late. Now, if you need 3, you better go and get 3. And then if you can't, then maybe you got an extra to play with.
Yeah. Good way to put it. Well, day one. There's plenty more days to come. Anything more on this front, guys? Are you ready to move on in? We got it's crosstown shootout week, guys. We got quite a lot to talk about. So go ahead and timestamp this. It is my favorite segment next, though. So,
by the way, YouTube is starting up something new. It's called Super Thanks.
Oh.
And it's a different way that you can support us. I guess you buy like a bundle, and then you can allocate them to different podcasts and live shows and whatever that you watch. I started something. If you see, it says goal created. If you're on YouTube, you can click that see goal, and you can donate through Super Thanks now. And do maybe a little bit less on the amount of dollars that you're spending, but still supporting the stream. So YouTube just started that. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on how that works in different ways to support us. But as always, this timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly, low minimum next day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products, to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. Royer, it's that time. A little ripping, little tasty.
Oh, it's time.
You know what I'm doing Wednesday, Brent?
Tell me you're taking a tour.
A little conference call with our folks at New Riff to start moving forward on the BCJ barrel pick.
Smart
so
idea.
People can get their own BCJ bottle of New Riff bourbon, and then we'll take all the proceeds and donate everything to Cincy Reigns. So it's been hectic because we were in that window of football and basketball at the same time, and I didn't have a lot of free time. But now that football is eased up, I'm going to get this ironed out, and hopefully maybe we can get it ready to go before Christmas. But if not, shortly after Christmas, where you can get your BCJ bottle of New Riff and help support Cincy Reigns.
Gosh, yeah. Well, and speaking of Cincy Reigns, though, I remiss to mention that we are in the Cincy Light Studios as well. So I mean, we're all over the place right now, guys. And
right there,
it's making me thirsty. Cannot wait to
Cincy Light Studios.
Open a couple of those tasty bevies this weekend.
Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery-exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code BEARCATS24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Here we go, Brent. You ready?
Oh, man. Am I ready? Come on now.
Hey, a good little mixy on what we were talking about football-wise, right into basketball. So I want you guys to rank out of most importance to their team out of these 4 guys: Brendan Sorsby, Dante Corleone, Jizzle James, Dan Skillings.
Man, that's a good one. Wow. I think Dan is pretty damn far up there, if I'm going to be honest with you. I might say Dan number 1. Nah, I don't know. I'll go. Let's go. Number 1 will be. Oh man.
Goodness, it's Brendan Sorsby, it's Dan Skillings, it's Dante, and then it's Jizzle. That's my 4 in order. Brent's like it. Brent's just going back and forth between all 4 of them at every spot.
They're just amazing. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we'll see the importance this Saturday of Dan. Obviously, it was good to see him get some minutes there at Howard, but gosh, I just think he changes this team so much with all the intangible things that he does. But as far as most important, I do think Sorsby would be number 1. Aaron, I agree with you there. Then Dan, and Dante, then Jizzle, because I think Day-Day's been pretty damn solid as well. So, mano a mano. Chad?
I mean, Dante is the most accomplished of the group.
Right.
He's been an All-American. He's been a multiple-time first-team All-Conference guy, and he is. I think we, because he's been here for a couple years, we take for granted how important that position is, and how many times UC has had to kind of scramble to find somebody that fits there over the years.
See what you're doing. You got a guest coming on the show on Wednesday. You can't put him not at number 1. Let's see where you're going.
But that's not wrong though.
I like it's a difficult spot to find somebody that's that big and that athletic and can actually make an impact at the point of attack on the line of scrimmage. I think
every single play.
Dante number 1 every single play. Like, he is a factor every single play.
Right.
You go Dante number 1. Dan 2, Jizzle 3, Sorsby 4, just 4 because he had a bad 6 games. Like, if he finished the season strong, it would be he's the quarterback. Quarterback is the most important thing, but we didn't see him finish the season strong.
Do you think that could be a reason we lose 5 in a row because he doesn't play good? Does that also kind of key his importance?
It's part of the reason for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they win that West Virginia game if he doesn't make the mistakes he made. One of those games, he had 68 yards passing. Like, I love Sorsby. I think his potential is through the roof, but I see better than I hear. And what I saw was a guy that didn't play well over the final 6 games of the regular season. So that bumps him down the list. That's all.
Yeah.
I think he would, like, if I explained that to him, I think he would agree with me. Like, you got to finish strong.
I think, like what you were saying, though, I think that was the approach I was taking, and maybe Aaron as well, is just that quarterback is literally the most important position probably in all of college
Sure.
sports.
Sure. I
And
don't
so
dispute that.
right. And so I think I'm also buying into the whole like he's locked in for another year type thing. So like the importance of that. I think Dan is unbelievably important too because golly, I can't watch another Alabama State / Villanova games. I can't watch those anymore with this team. I'm just go from too happy to too sad too fast. So that's why I think it's at 1 and 2. But man, I hear you with Dante though, man. That's a 3-time first team all Big 12 / AAC player right there, all American. Gosh, good question, Royer. Man, you're good at this, dude. Really good at this.
You ready for number 2?
We're
Born.
ready.
All right. Verse X. Predictions. Over under 11.5 threes. Over under 10.5 rebound differential.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
12 threes is a lot of threes. Like that's
I know.
a lot of threes. So I'm gonna go under. I think 9 or 10 is reasonable.
They sit at like 9 and what, 8.5 or 9? I can't remember. I was looking at it the other day.
Is this total by Cincinnati or total in the game?
By Cincinnati.
Okay.
Here, I'll tell you guys real fast.
They average 9.4.
12 against Arkansas Pine Bluff, 11 against Nichols, 11 at NKU, 10 Alabama State. Everything else is 6, 9, 8, 8.
8 last.
So bump it down to 10.5, Royer.
It's his question. You can't make him change.
They average 9.5, so I was like, I don't know. Like 10.5 is a little bit like,
Yeah, fair.
I'll take to shoot the ball well to win.
Brent, this is why you're not a bookie. This is why people take your money.
Yeah, obviously. Man. I'll take the let's see here. How's X at defending the 3? Opponent's 3-point percentage.
Not
defense.
good.
Oh,
They're pretty bad at it.
They're one of the worst teams in the country, 325th, allowing 37.4% from deep, and 31% of the opponents. 33.5%. Wow, I'll take the over. Screw it.
Of course you will.
Let's win. Let's win.
The rebounding. It's not a strength of theirs. It's not a strength of X. Dan is back, and we saw some Tasmanian devil like plays from Dan already. Can I just call him Tasmanian Dan?
Ooh, okay.
Tasmanian devil.
I mean, he just like, the Tasmanian devil just, and then he would like stop and you'd see his face and he'd do something. And then he'd all the way over to the other side and do something else. Like that's kind of Dan. He just whirls around all over the place and does like, oh, there's Dan. Oh, there's Dan again. How did he get there? Like that block that the turnover and then block was the perfect example of like, how did he do that? How did he get from that point to that point? Like, seamlessly. Man, winning the rebounding margin by 11 is significant. But I'll go with yes, they do. Because here's the thing.
So you're under on 3, over on rebound?
I'm under on 3, over on rebound. Here's something important to note. Mark, Bearcat Mark had a great thing on the board today, talking about all the time, like the way that these teams win. Cincinnati usually wins by a lot when Cincinnati wins. I think of the past like 30, so when it's close, Xavier wins.
Every time.
Like 1-17 and like one score game or like, close games. So I think Cincinnati, if they're going to win, it's probably going to have to win comfortably. And if they win comfortably, I think it'll be because of the rebounding margin.
Were those close games
In
by
part.
order of the Vatican?
Yes,
let me see.
they
I'm
were.
going to see if I can find it.
Quick stat. Yeah, I'm looking at their stats. It's just they're allowing what? So they're out rebounding opponents by an average of 4 a game, and obviously that's throwing in a handful of bye games and whatnot. Looks like they tied exactly TCU on the boards. 11's a lot. If we do 11, like Chad said, we're dominating them. If we go over on both, Royer, whew, I'll be seeing you at
Pretty.
dive bar. As Chad looks up that stat, Royer, you got a third one?
Well,
Got the
I'm going to
third
give
one.
my answer. My answer.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have not given any answers. You guys step all over me every time I try and talk. Chad's muted, thank God. But I say that it is the under on the threes and over on the rebounds. I'm with Chad on his answers. I like that.
Let's
I
go.
like it too. I like it too. You're still muted,
Chaz.
Chad. You're still
He
muted.
is still muted, and it's still.
Sorry, my kid came in. I was afraid she was going to try to talk to everybody, like she is wont to do. So I'm muted. 35 shootouts since Bob Huggins arrived at UC. UC has actually outscored Xavier by 2 points in those 35 games, but they're 13-22 in record. Why?
Yeah. Right.
This is why. UC is 12-8 in games decided by 8 or more. Xavier is 14-1 in games decided by 7 or fewer.
Wow.
The only UC close win was in 1995. Xavier has won all 4 overtime games, and they are 10-0 in one possession games or games that went to overtime. That's crazy.
That would explain why I simply hate them so much.
By order of the Vatican.
Golly, that just really pissed me off. If I'm gonna, I'm just like playing through every single one in my head right now. It's just like, yeah, remember that.
14-1, 1-14 in the 15 games decided by 7 points or less. Haven't won a close game against Xavier since 1995.
That's insane. That is insane. Well, here we are. Figure it out.
Who would have thought?
Roy, are you going over on
ready for
both
round
teams,
3?
bro? Are you going
Round
over on
3.
both?
I mean, I think if they make 12 threes, they win. I think they definitely have the rebounding edge. I'm more comfortable going over on rebound than 3. I just think they're gonna have to shoot the ball well to win. I'm with you, Chad. Like, I think they gotta win by like 10 points. Like you guys said. I mean, I didn't even know that stat before, but every game I've watched the past 7 years, it's like X is always finding a way to pull it out in the tight closing minutes of the game. So I think we got to shoot the ball well consistently the whole game, keep and maintain a lead. And I think the 3 ball is something that's going to help us do that. So I think they'll make 11 threes, right under, break all the bettors' hearts.
As always.
I'll take
Round
11.
3.
If you told me right now they made 11 threes, I'll feel pretty good about things.
Yeah. All right, round 3. So I'm going to give you 3 categories. You pick 2 of them that you would want the Bearcats to win against X. Free throws made, offensive rebounds, turnovers.
So they're not going to beat X in number of free throws made. They're not.
No.
It's not happening.
Mm-mm.
So I'm going to have to take the other 2. Offensive rebounding and turnovers.
If that does happen, then I think
No, but you get to choose.
Yeah,
If
but
you
I'm not
choose to-
choosing something that's not going to happen.
Is it really a
It's not
Bearcats
gonna
team?
happen.
Is it really a Bearcats team if you shot good free throws?
That's why it's on there.
It's not a Bearcat team. I don't want that team to win on free throws. Gross. Give me the turnovers and the offensive rebounds. Doing it Clifton style.
I like it. Yeah. Give me those as well. I agree.
All right.
I want to bully them. I just can't get over that stat. Just give me O rebounds, a lot of putback dunks, and turnover battle, big time turnover battle. Let's go.
All right. That was the 3. I don't remember what I texted you, Brian. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, dude. You were a little tipsy at this point, but yes, I do remember what you were texting me. You're like, dude,
Saying a lot of bullshit, huh?
I'm so excited about the crosstown shootout. I'm here at Skyline Chili right now, dude. How many conies you think I can eat? And I was like, dude, save this for the podcast. You were like, yes, we can ask each person what their go-to order is, and then what would happen to the order if the Bearcats won on Saturday. That's what you were saying. So yeah, I mean, Skyline Chili is just, it's tasty, and this is the 92nd edition of the Skyline Chili Crosstown Shootout. 92nd. So you said you would eat 92 conies, and I was like, all right, man, put the Cincy Light down, put the new riff away. And so you said, let's put it out there in the field. Go to Skyline order, and how many conies you would eat if a victorious victory came out on top on Saturday.
All right, I'll get it started. Go to order. Cheese coney all the way. And then 1 Cholito, add spaghetti, sour cream. Bearcats win. I'm doubling it. Give me 2 of them. 2 of both of them. Yeah.
Boom! That's a boom.
And the Rizzler's going to pull up with me. He's putting down 4 cheese sandwiches. No hot dogs, just cheese and bun. He's going to town. We're getting the boom meter going crazy off Ludlow. We're going to need it.
God damn it, let's go, baby. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Aaron,
Am I the only one who has a separate order for if they're eating in the store or getting it to go?
No.
I never
I have
get
a
it to
separate
go.
order lunch and dinner.
So
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of the same. But if I'm going in, I'm getting a 5-way, and I'm getting
I love those.
because I don't want to get I don't like getting any of the 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, whatever to go because it's a different portion size. I don't know what and the cheese comes separate, so it's not getting like that slight melty as well.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So
right.
I'm not here for any of all of that. So
Okay.
I'll get the 5-way, and then I get a cheese coney all the way extreme. So I get a little of the flair, plus the hot sauce is better in store than in the little packets. Just saying.
It is.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely
Agreed with
on
that.
that.
Agreed with that.
And then to go, usually I'm eating in the car, so I usually get 4 cheese conies, and I'll go two regular all the way and 2 extreme all the way, just to have a little of both worlds, and then the hot sauce on top.
Okay.
It's easier to eat in the car because the cheese congeals and
Cheese
stuff
flying
when
all
you're
over the
driving.
steering wheel.
No,
Yeah.
it congeals. You keep the lid shut, it congeals,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
you can
yeah.
actually eat in the car.
Well, Aaron, I've been there, but sometimes a little cheese does come off, and like later on in the night when you're driving more, you look over and you're like, oh,
You start eating it.
little bit of cheese on the ground. And they give you like 5 packages of the oyster crackers. You're like, oh well, snacks for days, and just as you're driving. I've been there. Chad, what you got?
You're my hero.
Oh God. For lunch,
Okay.
3 cheese
Wow.
conies, no onions.
I thought you loved onions. Why are you taking those off, man?
And then if I'm getting it to go, you get the cheese on the side so that when you get home, you can put the fresh cheese on that's not congealed.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're going to eat them in the car, you can just get the cheese on them. But if you're going to eat them
Definitely.
when you get somewhere, you get the cheese on the side, and then you can toss the cheese on afterwards. A dinner
Do they
order.
give you more cheese when it's on the side? I feel like it would just be like even more.
So they give you, if you get 2 cheese conies, you get a small 3-way cheese. Like they already have those bagged out.
Yeah.
If you get 3, they bump you up to the large 3 or the regular 3-way cheese. So you do get a pretty good deal more if you get 3. It seems.
Yeah. You're like Brent. You got all the leftovers on the carpet for later after that.
No. And then dinner is just 3-way cheese coney, no onions, extra crackers, extra hot sauce.
Let's go.
Back in the day when Cincinnati was beating X all the time, I was eating 7 Cholitos with French fries in them. You gotta have string cheese too. Then on the side, I would have a large 3-way with some chili cheese fries right after those big time wins against X. That's a quick hack tip to our guy.
Okay,
Dante
Godfather.
Corleone,
Okay.
Godfather. Shouts to Dante.
With a diet dew.
With a double chocolate. But no, boy oh boy, tell you what, give me I'm actually on team chili cheese sandwich, low key. Take that hot dog out.
You strike me as an alligator guy.
Give me that
No
mustard.
dogs in you, huh?
Are you an alligator guy, Brent? You strike me as you'd be an alligator guy.
What's an alligator guy? Like I eat alligator tail?
No, you take out the hot dog and you put in a pickle.
Oh no. Well, I mean, I'll try it. Don't knock anything until you try it, but nah.
You try.
That's an alligator. That's an alligator. No hot dog, sub pickle.
Okay, interesting. I like mustard and onion on my boys. And is it true that there's some sorcery out there? Sorry, on my tasty chili cheese sandwiches. Pause. Is it true that there is what is a sorcery? They have mac and cheese now that they put in chili.
Jail after that one.
I haven't tried it yet, but I've heard it's very good.
I saw it on the social
media. Instead of spaghetti, you get mac and cheese, and then you get chili, and then you get whatever on top of it.
Yeah.
Aaron, Brent just sounded like he was WikiLeaks guy right there.
Jeez, Pete, man, come on, chill out. All my chili cheese sandwiches, big time. And then I'll roll with you. Cholito, one with the sour cream, one with the spaghetti. Double.
Come on. Have you done one with chili ranch in it?
No. Is that fire?
It's fire. You should try it. Chili ranch with the extreme cheese.
Oh.
It's a good one.
So what are you doing after the game? Dive bar, then we hit up Ludlow?
We go to Martino's, get a $5 pitcher.
Mio's is a sponsor, Ryan. Mio's.
Oh.
Go to Mio's.
Yeah. Go to Mio's, get a beer tower.
Head down to the banks.
Stop in the Holy
Grail.
Grail.
You two could just abuse a beer tower, couldn't you?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Never stood a chance. I ain't never seen a beer tower I was afraid of.
Amen.
Listen, I don't even need a cup, low key. But yeah.
I'll just turn it on. You just get on your knees right down next to the table.
Fill it up with
what is he doing? What is Royer and him doing over there?
Yeah.
We turn around, it's just the beer tower, nothing else.
Yeah, just gonzo. And then we just start slamming Cholitos. We're like, this is awesome.
Quick paper supply.
Yeah, quick paper supply. We got a game to talk about real fast.
Oh boy. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
That got so weird so fast.
Fast.
Hey, man. That's why it's my favorite segment. 92nd edition of the Crosstown Shootout. Chad, kind of similar to some of the stats that you were laying out there that I absolutely hate. Bearcats have lost Bearcats have lost 5 in a row, 9 of
5
the
in a
last
row.
11, 14-6 in the last 20 games. It's a series that has quickly turned sour. It's a scenario where, boy oh boy, a win is highly, highly needed right now for the Bearcats and for Wes Miller and the team. I guess my first question to you guys is, what is different this year? Do you feel like it is a year-by-year basis? Do you feel like it is a curse type scenario? Do you feel like it is a situation where figure out a way to win and get out of there? Or is the better team going to win most of the time? It just seems like all of those little quick stats, and including what you said, Chad, it's just, boy, things have not gone the Bearcats' way, even though they hold the overall series advantage still, 51-40, an 11-game lead there. But when it comes to December 14th, 2 p.m., what will be different inside of Fifth Third Arena as the Xavier Musketeers roll into town?
I got something, but I'll go last.
Okay.
Guys, that means you two go first.
I think the Bearcats are going to have. This is probably the biggest chip on their shoulder they're going to have in recent years, riding off all these losses. I don't, I've never been at a Wes Miller practice, but I feel like this is something that's been kind of, brought to the team's attention now all through the offseason. And I think, how hard this team has been playing, how tight they've been, the culture they've established. I think this game means more than it's meant. Like, not that it means more than it's meant, but it's definitely like it's time for some revenge. And I think that's been, building and building and building, loss after loss. And I think, Wes has these guys, not only ready to be a great team, but I think ready to finally get over the hump. So I think they're going to have a whole new level of intensity. I think they're going to rise to the occasion. I think they're going to shoot the ball well. They're going to be on the glass because, that intensity and effort is going to translate really well to that. And I'm predicting the Bearcats are going to, right the ship here at home. Fifth Third is going to be bumping. I think they're going to feed off that. It's probably going to be one of the most intense games that's probably happened here. I think it's going to be a little bit more electric than some of those bigger Big 12 games last year. And I think it's time to get the bragging rights back, and the boys are going to take care of it.
I think that they left shitty lobs in 2023. And so Lob City has been flying around. That's going to look a little bit different. I also think that they have CMOS has been playing ridiculous, especially when it counts, when it's not a bye game and you're not just supposed to win. So I think that he's probably going to elevate his game even more than what we've seen. And if he is, that's scary because I think he came in last night. I don't know what his percentage is, but I think he came into last night at 57%, if I remember correctly, from three. That's just absurd. I don't know. Wes knows a thing or two about some rivalries, having played at North Carolina and playing against Duke. And I hope that this has been eating him, truthfully. So I don't know, but between those things, as Ryan kind of went on deeper diatribe on the chip on their shoulder, I think that chip starts with Wes, and I think that you'll see some. I don't know. I'd like to think that you'll see maybe some shorter lineups as you're trying to step on the throat. I don't want them to toy with or tinker with anything. I think you need to treat it as almost a conference game and go out and take care of business.
So for the longest time, I have kind of I've been in line with the whole it's just one game thing. But over time, that has changed because the folks across town do not treat it that way. It is legitimately as much of a make or break for their season than anything, and they play that way far more often than Cincinnati does. So I think like the whole downplaying it of it's just one game, we want to win, but we've got bigger goals. Yeah, sure. But coming into this game, they have proven over a period of time that they want the game more than you. And I think especially, I know this happened under Mick, but I think what is, you get a mixed message, I think, in that the messaging in the media is it's just one game, doesn't really matter that much. But then the messaging in practice is we hate these guys. And I think it creates some tension that has been on display early in these games where Cincinnati is tight and Xavier is not. And you get to the under 12 media timeout, you played 8 minutes and you're down 6, 8, 10 points regularly. This happens in this game. I think it needs to be, look, this game means a lot to us and we want to win this game. We'll worry about the message. It can't be, the messaging can't be one game at a time, one game at a time, one game at a time. And then you get to the crosstown shootout and the messaging is, well, all the other games matter just as much as this one. No, this game matters an incredible amount, an incredible amount to your team and to your fan base and to the people in the city. Because let's face it, if my mentions show you anything, it's that Xavier fans suck. Not all of them. Some of them are okay. But the loud ones on Twitter, the loud ones on social media, the loud ones on message boards, those people are a pain in the ass. And you don't want to have to listen to them for 365 days tell you, 6 in a row, 6 in a row, 6 in a row, 6 in a row. So stop with mixed messaging and acknowledge this game matters a lot. It matters a lot, not only to the people on the floor, but it matters to the people in the building that you stop getting your ass kicked by Xavier every year.
Yeah.
Aaron?
Oh, I was just doing the Roman Reigns acknowledge me as if I was the game.
I think that the messaging needs to change internally. Yeah. The messaging needs to be, we want to beat these guys. It is one game at a time. Okay, Xavier is the next game. This game is the most important game. Does it hold more weight than all the other games? Yeah, it does. It does. Because it's the next one, and because it's Xavier, and because we want to win, and because we're tired of little brother having that one up on us. And the trajectory of this series needs to shift in another direction. UC is in the superior conference. UC is recruiting better than Xavier. UC is retaining talent better than Xavier. It is time to go out on the floor and regularly win the crosstown shootout starting Saturday.
Yeah. I keep thinking about that damn stat that you said, is the fact that throughout that course of time, for a majority of it, the better team on the court, whether it be on paper, the better team on paper for the most part probably was Cincinnati. And yet you have all these scenarios where, well, then not, of course, you throw in the tough years of, the Brandon years, and then Wes's, initial season or initial couple seasons. And sure, Xavier had some pretty good teams during that, but
no, they didn't.
I guess
they had one good team.
Well, one good team, yeah. I guess my point of view right now is the whole, they've got 5 in a row. They've got all of these in the last 10 and the last 11, and kind of the whole storyline of Xavier playing with house money, Xavier playing kind of, they know that they've been better than Cincinnati, and the whole feeling of where it seems like Cincinnati has all the pressure in the world to come out and be the ones who win the game on the court. And that's outside noise. That's obviously probably something that gets blocked out. But as you mentioned, Chad, the fans in that arena, I mean, I know I'm going to wake up on Saturday morning and be like, golly, let's just go in and freaking win this game. And I do think that right now you can look at all the analytics, and obviously the analytics is probably just slanted because Cincinnati has won the games against lesser opponents by a lot more points and looked a lot better doing it in the early parts of the season than Xavier has. Xavier struggled against South Carolina State. They, Chad, it's interesting you mentioned the slow starts in the beginning of the games. Well, throughout this season so far for Xavier, they've been pretty slow out of the gates. In the last 4 games, in the first quarter, if you will, on KenPom, they break it down by quarters, whether, first 10 minutes, second 10 minutes, that makes up the first and second quarter. In 4 straight games, they've been on the losing end of the first quarter. And out of 6 of their 9 first games, they've been on the losing end of the first quarter. I think they are the ones kind of searching for an identity. And I think with Dan back, I think you're going to see kind of a return to form of all that excitement we saw in the first game of the season. Of course, during the Ohio State exhibition, during numerous times where we just heard about how everyone's really going out there as a team and flying all over the court. Defense is on a premium, rebounding is on a premium. I'm ready for them to come out and show that against Xavier. Because gosh, it's been too long, too long. But as far as the game on the court goes, your thoughts on Xavier, the team, if you guys have been able to take in games that they played so far this season. Obviously, they just lost at TCU. I don't think TCU is that good. I think, they're 92nd on the.
They're one of the 3 worst teams in the Big 12 right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they're 91st in KenPom. They've got losses to Colorado State, Santa Clara, and Vandy. But it's a big game. It's going to be one where you match up. And Matt Lanham, I think, asked a good question. I think kind of Fremantle is kind of the pulse that stirs what Xavier wants to do in the post. Obviously, they had a big injury to Traore during the offseason, lost him for the season. He was going to be kind of that 1-2 punch, and the big man probably start him next to Fremantle. Now they go a little bit smaller with Swain down at the 4, if you will, in the starting lineup. I guess kind of how do you see this Cincinnati team matching up with this Xavier team?
To answer the question, does Dylan Mitchell guard Zach Fremantle? I don't think he can. In terms of if you put him on Fremantle, then you have Aziz guarding Swain or Jerome Hunter, who has, played some 4 for them. Like, they don't really have another center other than our old friend,
our good
John
buddy,
Hughley.
Big John.
I think you'd see Aziz on him when he's on the floor, if he's on the floor with Fremantle. But as it stands, I think you're going to probably have to see Aziz on Fremantle, which is not a great matchup for UC because Fremantle can pull you out. He has not shot the 3 well this year, which is, a concern because it's always somebody that hasn't shot the 3 well that ends up shooting the 3 well. Difference maker in this game.
Stupid.
The other one, I think the reason, and I've in the games that X has struggled, it's because Davion McKnight is not playing well, and he killed UC last year. I thought he was different in the game last year.
He was.
So he's going to come into this game while he hasn't played well. He's going to have some confidence in this game because he did play well in the shootout last year. Mm-hmm. If you can keep him from making a major impact, they have not done. They have turned the ball over 50 times in their last 3 games. So they're going to be spending a ton of time this week working on taking care of the ball. But you can pressure them and cause mistakes, cause turnovers. So I think you're really going to want to see Jizzle and Day do everything they can to frustrate McKnight. Mm-hmm. The difference this year being, I think Oliveri was more of a well-rounded player than Conwell. I think Conwell's really good. He's probably going to get 15, 17 points. Mm-hmm. But I think Oliveri was able to take you off the bounce, get to the free throw line a little bit more, be a little bit more while he was a great shooter, be a little bit more disruptive with the ball in his hands. Conwell is forcing some things for them right now because their offense has been flat. And he's been taking some forced shots. He's been taking some forced jumpers. He's going to get his, but you want to make him work for it. You don't want to give him anything easy. And I think, you know, if you do have Dan back, I would imagine Dan starts. Like
on Conwell.
You bring him back in that Howard game to get him ready to go for the Xavier game.
How limited are his minutes?
I don't think they'll be super limited. I mean, Wes said they had him ready to go for another rotation that would have gotten him up into that 20-minute range, but it was like a 26-point game at that point, and you don't want to put him out there. The last thing you want to do is you're up 23 on Howard and something
and he re-aggravates it. Yeah. Well,
right.
And he said he could have played against Nova too, which I thought was interesting thing, which probably was another scenario where he wasn't fully 100%, which then you wait until the Howard game where he is fully 100%. But yeah.
Well, he just hadn't really practiced.
Right.
For the Nova game. So that's, you know, it's difficult especially when a guy's missed a month. You've only played one game with him, then he misses a month. That's a challenge. So I think Dan's length can give him some issues. And then, but I mean, really offensively for them, outside of Fremantle and Conwell, they have not been consistent. Maddox has had a big game, but he's been kind of up and down. Foster it kind of really hasn't been a whole lot of a factor. Hughley's been bad, like almost unplayable at points. So, you know, I think you have to, in a lot of ways, I think you really have to turn a lot of your defensive attention to Fremantle and Conwell and play the other guys kind of straight up and just put some pressure on the ball, heat them up, kind of speed up what they want to do, getting the ball across half court and getting into their offense. They have not ran a lot of really good, like, half court stuff. Really the only, the Wake game they did, which they won. And then the second half of South Carolina, like, they really struggled offensively in the first half. The second half of South Carolina, you saw their offense open up some, but they have not been able to sustain it. So, you know, I think if you're aggressive with their other guys and you can kind of heat them up, and if you can get them in that 13, 14, 15 turnover range, I think you can use that to your advantage to control the game.
They aren't very deep.
No. They thought they were going to be.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, the Traore injury is a pretty big one. Sean Miller came out saying that he was going to be a huge pivotal piece for the team. So I think that kind of pays into Royer's rebounding over-under scenario, where I think that they could try and really hone in on that. I don't know. It just, all things seem to be kind of in the balance of will Cincinnati be able to take advantage of an on-paper game where they are the better team? I mean, sure, you don't want to go everything based off KenPom, but I mean, KenPom has Cincinnati as a 76-66 winner, a 10-point win. I mean, I imagine the spread will probably be around 6.5, 5.5 maybe, if you get the right book. I don't know. Who would you guys say needs to be the one Bearcat? And Aaron and Ryan, we'll start with you guys here. The one Bearcat to kind of step up their game on Saturday and kind of be a key point, whether it be hitting a couple shots, whether it be stepping up defensively to kind of push them over the edge and get the dub.
I think it's Dan, and I say that because we've seen some of the games without Dan, and if Dan can give you, even if he can give you 75% of what he normally would in a game, I think that can be pivotal for this team. I think that this team right now has been running on Dylan Mitchell's energy, and I think that if you have Dan firing on all cylinders energy-wise, and able to start filling that stat sheet. I'm not expecting him to go for 18 or anything wild, but if he can be the guy who's doing the little things, the rebound here or a deflected pass there, like there can be a lot of things that Dan can do that nobody else on the court can do at any given moment. And I think that he can be the difference maker, especially if you're trying to shorten some of those lineups and figure out what you got.
I'm going with Day. I think if we can get double figures out of him, really push the attack both on defense and offense with kind of like his aggressive nature, make some good passes, complement Jizzle well, whether they're on the court at the same time or whether if he comes in for Jizzle, still kind of having an offensive presence, shoot the 3-ball well. I think if he gets in the double digits and everyone else kind of continues on the path that they've kind of shown throughout the beginning of the year, I think it's going to be a big help. I think it's going to be a big part of like pushing that Cincinnati lead into more of a like 8 to 10 comfortable range, especially for this this damn game that we just came to find out from Chad. But I got Day being a difference maker. I think it would be a big help and really solidify a victory.
Chad, you got one player you want to see kind of step up and.
I mean, right now, I think the most important thing is having Mr. Consistent be consistent. You are living off 17 to 18, 19 points for CMOS. You're going to need that from him. And, it's going to be interesting, I think, to see Swain as their best defender.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see him chase around CMOS, or do you see him on Dylan Mitchell? And then, they put a smaller guy on Mitchell and try to the one thing X does not have is great athleticism. Their lone guy that's a plus athlete is Swain. So he would be probably really the only guy they've got that athletically could match up with Dylan.
Yeah.
But he's also the only guy that they've got that really has a chance to chase around and frustrate CMOS.
Mm-hmm.
So that little piece of the chess match is going to be interesting. Because I like if you leave Hunter or Foster or one of those guys on Mitchell is going to have a significant athletic advantage in that matchup. So, but my guess is they're going to look at CMOS and say, we've got to find a way to stop him.
Right.
And our best guy is Dalen Swain in terms of guarding on the perimeter. So I would imagine you're going to see Swain on CMOS. CMOS has got to be able to take advantage of that matchup because he's stronger, he's more physical. Get to the line, maybe get a foul or two on him early. If you get Swain out of that lineup,
crafty, yeah.
I mean, you can do some damage to them.
Yeah, you want to. I think it's good. Also, I mean, Swain hasn't had the beginning of the season that I think a lot of Xavier fans hoped for because I mean, all the talk in the offseason was he was going to take a massive jump in year 2,
offensively, which he hasn't.
Offensively, yeah, and I mean, 1 of 6 from 3 on the year. I mean, I think he only made 4 last year, so that's not like crazy, but not letting him kind of get going. I think obviously Conwell will be a main focal point and McKnight too, but for me, I think Dylan Mitchell. I'd let him just control the glass along with everyone else, and have just a couple of those big time plays, whether it be a steal and a run out to kind of really get the crowd locked in and fired up for this one. I think it's however quickly you can get a lead and then kind of get the crowd really heavily involved, because I think everyone's just antsy for this game, all the Cincinnati fan base. So any momentum building play would be massive for the outcome of it. And how about we see a couple Connor Hickman threes? Why not? Just see a couple go in, because Lord knows it could really help him out. But I don't know. It's a game. Number 22 Cincinnati.
How wild would it be to have the Cincinnati guy
that hits
has
a bunch of their threes.
struggled finding his shot a little bit early. That he's the guy that ends up turning the game because he bangs in a couple of those bad boys.
Gosh, please just do it. Do it. 2 p.m. Wear black. The third arena. The Musketeers, not from Tennessee, but from Norwood. They're coming to town. Bearcats. I mean, this is one of the bigger cross-town shootouts I can remember, just because of all the hype going into the season for Cincinnati, all the hope to take that next step in Wes's tenure, and so this game means a lot more than just the next game on the schedule, as you were able to put out there, Chad. So I agree. Let's see what can happen. Anything more, guys? We ready to timestamp and mailbag? I'm sure there'll be a lot more throughout the week on BCJ. Obviously, Xavier has one more game before they play us. What is it? Morgan State, I believe. Just Morgan State that they're slotted to probably win by 25 plus. So we'll see. Big game, big chance to really make a big step towards a good season.
All right, that brings us to our latest timestamp, brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company. All your non-food products, to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. Cleaning and restroom supplies. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. Hey, Ron. Oh, he's gone.
Hey, Ron.
All right.
Now.
Let's get this mailbag going, and we'll go watch some Simpsons football.
Simpsons, baby.
Whatever that is. All right. Starting off in the football portion of the mailbag, as we always do. Discuss Indiana and Arizona State combined 22-3 and both going to CFP success versus the Bearcats. Both teams were 3-9 last year, as were our Bearcats. What factors beyond just winning led those two programs to such a massive difference in results? P.S. Arizona State was projected to finish 13th in the Big 12 in preseason poll. For Indiana, just Google them. You should be able to figure out. Yeah, you should be able to figure out what happened there.
They won close. Well, Indiana didn't win close games. Indiana got a very favorable schedule. I know Brent will probably be mad at me for this, but
no, I mean, it's true.
They had a very favorable schedule. It looked like Cincinnati was going to have a very favorable schedule coming into the season, and it went from what looked like one of the easiest schedules in the conference to one of the toughest schedules in the conference. The main difference being Arizona State managed to win close games. They found a way to win close games. They found a way to make the play at the end of close games that got them in the win column. Cincinnati did the exact opposite. This isn't like breaking news. This is something that we have talked about throughout the season. Cincinnati figures out a way to close out Pitt and to close out West Virginia. Maybe they get a little bit momentum. Now they're
Texas
7
Tech
and Texas Tech. Now maybe they got 7 wins going into the final 5 weeks of the season, and you've got some positive momentum. Your guys are playing with a little bit more chutzpah. I bit my tongue when I did that the first time.
I just wanted to correct your one of the toughest schedules in the country, not just in the conference. It ended up being, I think, top 10 most difficult in
13th.
all of college football.
It's the 13th most difficult schedule in college.
Yeah, not far out of that top 10.
Right. So, Cincinnati did not allow themselves the opportunity to build the momentum that Arizona State did. Arizona State won some close games. They started feeling good about themselves. And go back to the 2018 Bearcats. They win a couple close games. They win the game at UCLA to start the season. They build momentum. Things start feeling good about themselves. And next thing you know, you see exactly what happened with an Arizona State. They finished the season winning the close ones. getting on a roll, feeling really good about themselves, playing their best ball at the end of the season. For them, it ended up in a conference championship.
Scatterboo is also a
It
very,
also
very
doesn't
good
hurt
thing
to
to have.
but Cincinnati had Corey Kiner, who was pretty close to Scatterboo and a lot of yards after contact and some of the the effort stuff that Scatterboo did. So Cincinnati had their Cam Scatterboo. Guess what? If they would have won, we would have talked more about how awesome Corey Kiner was. But they didn't.
Yeah.
So we don't.
Sam Levitt played better the back end of the year. Sorsby fell off.
Yeah. If they had given the ball to Corey Kiner a little bit more, maybe he would have won some of those games.
I think they both got hot. Confidence becomes contagious, and when you've got coaches that kind of light a fire in the program, I do think Kenny Dillingham. Well, first off, they hit on the quarterback position, which is the number one thing to do if you want to go from rough to better. And then I think Kenny Dillingham probably willed them to a couple wins just by being an absolute maniac, and the team kind of rallied behind that as well. So they got hot, confidence contagious, like you said, Chad, and like Royer, I'm sure you are very well aware of. So they rode it all the way to the playoff.
How do you feel about the P4 doing 8 set conference games? Then the last week they have a playoff if there are ties. Whomever they haven't played yet this year to negate no competition, this being semifinals games. So like this year it would have been Colorado versus BYU and Iowa State versus Arizona and winter meeting in Dallas.
I just think you're getting too many games like in a season at that point.
The logistics of it would be impossible. Like on the surface, I love the idea, the thought process behind it. But guess what? After those 4 teams played, you still have 12 other teams. You still have 6 other games that you're going to have to orchestrate. You're not going to be, because you don't know who's going to be facing who, you're not going to be able to set up home and away. I think one of the things that the 9-game schedule does is it lets you know that every other year, you're going to have 5 home games in conference play. To take that away and make that last week an unknown, like I just don't know how they would pull it off. Like just going through the logistics of it in my brain, I think it's a great idea for the top of the conference. But I don't know how you pull off 8 games that you don't know where they're going to be or who they're going to be until the Sunday before. You'd have to sell tickets. You have to get.
We all lived through the pandemic. We know that you can do it. They just don't want to do it.
No, well, yeah, we lived through the pandemic when there were no fans in the stands. So the logistics are totally different than trying to get 60, 70, 80,000 people into a stadium on 6 days. Like I don't know that it would be feasible, even though the idea in concept is great.
If you build it, they will come.
Well, and what happens if you have the situation where you get to that last week and those teams have played each other? They're gonna play each other again. Like we got kind of lucky this year. You had 4 teams that you could come up with those matchups. You're not going to have 2 teams play each other twice in a 9-game conference regular season. That's stupid.
So was Colorado playing BYU in a bowl game? Is there any truth?
That's Pac-12 shit. Remnants
is there any,
of the Pac-12.
Any truth to the rumor that Kerry Combs was let go? Thinking ahead to Christmas, what is the one present you want under the tree more than any other as far as the transfer portal is concerned?
Bearcats land the South Carolina defensive end.
Could be a big addition.
I don't know that they have the money for that, Ryan.
Give me a dynamic, explosive wide receiver.
Yep.
Like, yes, I want edge. Yes, I want all those other positions. but give me an absolute game changer on the outside.
That's what Sat said in the press conference. That's what they're going after, receivers. So,
Yep.
I like that.
Aaron?
Corner. I think right now corner is about the thinnest position on the team as far as playmakers go. And I think that after not having seen nearly enough interceptions this season, we need – I know you want a dynamic wide receiver. Give me a playmaking corner, especially a ball hawk.
It's exacerbated by Jordan Young leaving. Like he had a good year as that number one corner. So now you're going to have to find somebody to step in and either fill that role as good or better than the year you got from Jordan Young, which was very solid this year. I lean towards wide receiver. I mean, ultimately, I would love a starting left tackle because I think they got an outstanding year from John Williams. And that's going to be a tough one to plug and play, where you just throw somebody in at left tackle and go say, be as good as a guy that was really, really good as a senior. But those are, they're just not something that's out there in abundance in the transfer portal. So with that being said, like just thinking hitting on a Dino Boyd is very rare, where you go bring a guy up multiple levels and, he steps right in and is a rock.
Go get a guy that hasn't played at one of the bigger name schools.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Joe Royer.
They're still very expensive. Everybody needs a tackle. They, even if they have a starting like left and right tackle, they want a third one to have for depth or whatever. Everybody is looking for help at tackle. Everybody is looking for help at defensive end. I think you have to hit on a game-breaking, a game-changing wide receiver, a guy that can make plays after the catch, a guy that can get open over the top of the defense. You're not going to find an Alec Pierce, but a guy that can high point the football where, you have confidence calling a play. If you see one-on-one, you have confidence throwing the ball down the field and counting on your guy to go up and make a play. And I don't think they had that last year, which is why I think you saw the number of passes that went down the field trail off throughout the course of the season. So a number one boundary, make a play on the ball kind of outside guy.
All right. No names, but do you feel we'll be more vulnerable this year to programs trying to poach players that coaches want to keep 100% keep? Last year, it felt the only exit that they would have preferred stayed was Miles.
No, I think they've done a really good job building the culture. I mean, there could be some situations, and I think there already was one where, the player feels like their value might be higher on the open market than it was here, and more power to them. There's, especially if you're able to keep Sorsby and Corleone and Royer, just waiting to hear a decision from Joe. If you're able to keep those three, you spent a pretty good chunk of your NIL retaining those top three guys. That means there's going to be other guys that feel like maybe I can get into the portal and my value is going to be higher than what they're able to allocate for me at Cincinnati. And that's, you can get mad at it. You can kick and scream and say you hate the way college football is going, but that is the way it's going. And it's not just the way it's going, it's the way it is. So you only have a finite number of funds to work with. So I do think there could be some guys that you see along that path where they want to find out what their market value is. I don't know how Cincinnati is going. Some schools, the door is always open. Some schools, the minute that you file that paperwork, that is the end of your stay at that university. So, The grass is not always greener, so there are situations we've seen every year where a guy ends up going back. It's not a ton of situations like that, but they do exist. So, it's one of those things you just got to keep your eye on and see how it plays out. But honestly, there were probably more guys last year that you wanted. Like you kept your whole offensive line, and you kept Dante, and you kept Corey. There were probably more guys you wanted to keep last year, and they were able to keep all of them. So, we'll see how it goes this year.
Is Tyron Smith coming back?
I think so. I mean, he redshirted. My understanding was with the intent of coming back and having a full season next year. I think it was a hamstring injury, which those things are just so annoying that he probably would not have been at 100% all year, even if he did make it back. My understanding is the plan is to come back. So until I hear different, I think he's coming back. I never say anything with certainty in this
Till the window closes.
Yeah, until they can no longer exercise that ability.
Do you think reseeding after the first round would be fair, so Oregon would get the worst seeded team?
I think the way the NFL does it, I think they should mirror that.
I don't hate it. There's enough.
What, reseeding or just moving it along?
Reseeding.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
I mean, I do see the argument.
You shouldn't be scouting the next round anyway, so it shouldn't matter for the team that's going to play. So if you're the team in waiting, you're scouting only a handful of teams now instead of one.
Two. I'm interested to see. I mean, you've got minimum of 10 days between the first round and the second round. The 20th and 21st is the first round, and then New Year's Eve, New Year's Day is the second round. You have more than enough time at the end of the game, the last game on the 21st, until your game kicks off on the 31st or the 1st, to get a scouting report together and get your team ready to play, whichever opponent pops up. I like it. I think I would be in favor of reseeding, or at least, just taking the 4 teams and matching them up based on their seeding with the 4 bye teams.
Top team should have earned that.
What do you are you guys, where are you at on the whole SMU Bama thing? Are you happy with the committee? Are you frustrated with the committee?
Don't lose to Oklahoma. Don't lose to a pair of 6-6 teams, and don't lose to one of those 2 6-6 teams. And Bama is easily in. You lost to Vandy and Oklahoma. You got blown out by Oklahoma. If you win either of those games, you're in the college football playoff. And Greg Byrne, what a clown show. I guess we'll just stop scheduling tough in the non-conference.
Unbelievable.
You idiot.
I hope they turn around and actually hold that against them next year and say, well, you scheduled garbage. So
they already scheduled garbage, Aaron. That was the joke.
Well, you didn't know Wisconsin was going to be garbage.
Yeah,
they're always just middle of the pack. They're always just middle of the pack.
this whole SEC bias is just, I'm just through with it. Seeing Saban cry on national TV right before they revealed the bracket was just like, golly, it's just salt for all the SEC wounds out there. Golly, right, Royer?
Yeah. I didn't catch Saban, but I think it's time to get humbled every once in a while.
He was standing on the pedestal all about, look at this strength of schedule and that strength of schedule. It's just like, golly, man. Yes, sure, strength of schedule, this and that. You lost to 2 pretty bad teams, so move on.
Jay's Mixes gets it. All right. First portal commit before or after this Friday?
Right now, I'll say after. I don't know if they've got anybody. Louisville had got, hats off to them. Louisville had OVs today.
They
I am
didn't
the
talk to
portal.
them until today.
Right. And they just got on a plane this afternoon or this morning and flew to Louisville after entering the portal.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's any visits this week. I know there are some this weekend. So I will say after Friday, based on the information I have presently.
Okay.
All right. That is the end of the football portion of the mailbag. Moving along with the basketball portion. Last week, I asked you if you guys would take 2 out of 3 versus Nova, Xavier, Dayton, as long as we beat Xavier. Chad said yes. Everyone else said no. Now, will you take 1 out of the next 2 versus Xavier and Dayton as long as we beat Xavier?
No. Go win both.
I
You
hated
have to
that
win both,
Villanova
or I
game.
think the trajectory changes. This team's identity. We might have been over our skis.
Yeah. Dan is back. There's no excuses now. So go finish the non-con 10-1, and then welcome in the Big 12.
And go into the Big 12 with momentum.
Right, exactly. Like Royer just said, over our skis a little bit. I think we probably were without Dan in the lineup, and then now we're seeing the realism of actually truly what kind of an impact he has, not just his intangible. Wes in the post-game press conference, you could just see how much he's like, guys, Dan helps us out so much. So win them both, please.
All right, we're all on the same page. This might be too early to ask. Wes's recruiting continues to get better each year. I think his only miss during his tenure at Cincy so far is getting that 6'4"-ish, 3-level scoring shooting guard. Obviously, a lot of people are looking for those. With the guys Wes has already got committed for next year, is that the number one priority in the transfer portal? Does it depend heavily on who returns, even though it's a player type not currently on the roster?
I mean, it wasn't an overwhelming priority in their high school haul. Like they weren't, Davion Hannah was a combo guard. Like they weren't in the market for like that 3-level 6'4" shooting guard.
How about you
I
get a
think
6'8" level?
I was gonna say I think they got what you're asking for. They just got him in the form of a 6'8" small forward and not a 6'4" shooting guard. So I don't think it is a dire need. But if we get to the end of the year and Dan goes into the draft or whatever the case may be there, and then you're looking at no Jizzle, no Connor Hickman, no Dan, then you're gonna no CMOS, then you're gonna have to try to find one of those guys for sure in the portal. But as it is right now, I think they got what you're looking for. He just happens to be 6'8", and his name is Sean Abayev.
LaShawn Abayev, to correct you there, Chad.
Are you aware Day-Day is hitting 47.1% from behind the arc? Are you aware he only has 1 turnover in his last 2 games spanning 43 minutes? Day-Day has played 5 games, 3 on the road. Please discuss some Bearcat fans' very negative view of Day-Day. P.S. He continues to play more and more minutes, 22 versus Nova, 21 versus Howard. Does he get to 25 minutes a game in the Big 12?
If Day-Day is not sending Killer V some of his NIL money as hype man, what are we doing? Like some of Day-Day's NIL money should absolutely go to Killer V as his hype man. We know from last year, the reason that people don't like Day-Day is because Jizzle was so easy to like immediately that they looked at it and said, the only way that Jizzle plays more is if Day-Day plays less. So I don't like Day-Day because I need Day-Day to play less so that Jizzle plays more. And I said all year that was stupid, and it was stupid then. And we're not seeing it as much now because Jizzle is playing more. But Day-Day is a very good basketball player, and he's very important to this team.
Yep.
I think he's and look, Killer V, you are going to be upset that the reason Day-Day's minutes have increased is because they haven't had Dan at the 2. So they have been playing Jizzle and Day-Day together. You're going to see less of that as Dan comes back and gets back up into that 27, 28 minute a night range. But I'm all for Day-Day for as many minutes as you can get him within the structure of things. I think he's a very good player and very much a benefit to this roster in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I'm all in on the Jizzle Day train. That's the big time 1-2 punch that obviously has one full year of college basketball under their belt, right, Chad?
Yes.
There we go.
When UC played Nova, Nova sprung some defensive looks on UC that UC had not seen on tape. It clearly flustered UC, and Miller said the whole vibe of the game shifted as a result. Is this kind of gamesmanship something you think Miller would ever do, or is he pretty locked in on we do what we do, that's it? And what do you guys think of this kind of tactical move?
It is something that you do when you're desperate, and Villanova was desperate. Like, you want to do what you do, and you want to work on that as much as possible, and you want to fine-tune what you do and get it as high a level as you can get it. When you're desperate and what you're doing isn't working, you say, okay, maybe we need to figure something else out. And that's where they were at 4-4. I'm sure Kyle Neptune felt like they were close. They had just lost a close game to a good Maryland team. They had a 50-point blowout the game before. Okay, let's mix it up. Let's try to throw Cincinnati off early in this game. Let's throw them a little curveball. And it worked. If Cincinnati gets to the point that they're desperate and they got to mix things up, I think you could see Wes Miller do that. But as it currently stands, I think you do what you do and try to get as good at it as possible. The interesting thing being, especially early in the last 2 games, they have not done what they do very well. So they need to spend more time on that.
Yeah.
Getting better at what it is that they do, because
Right.
they weren't great at the defensive thing early in either of the last 2 games, both Villanova and Howard.
And to be fair, if a couple of those threes fall in early against Nova when they're
The
trying
wide
to switch
open
up
ones,
defense,
yeah.
like it's like, okay, maybe we get off of this little change that we're trying to do. So it goes both ways. It could have backfired against them just as much as it worked.
Yeah.
All right. What does Wes Miller need to do for UC to get the psychological advantage back besides win the games? Where's the rest of that question here? There it is. What do you think of flooding the locker room with old news articles highlighting X beating UC, old quotes from X running their mouths and zipping UC up? Kenny Free's bloody face, something that strengthened the mental toughness for this matchup.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be past like stuff like that. I think that this rivalry it can't be something that, oh, look, like we used to hate them really bad back in the day, or like you should hate these guys because of this. Like if they're not already hating them, that shows that we're already behind the 8 ball. And it kind of feeds right into what Chad was talking about earlier, that like this game needs to be elevated. And I feel like Wes's vibe like definitely screams that he's on that level. And if he's not now, I mean, you've lost. What has he lost his first 3 meetings?
Yep.
Every
So,
single
like,
year. Yeah.
I think this is going to be a good litmus test of how serious, Wes is trying to take this game. I predict that it's going to be they're coming for blood, and I think that's the only way it can be. That's how rivalry games need to be treated. This game means so much to the city, the history of both teams. So I'm all in on what Chad was saying before.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Top Dylan Mitchell dunk of Howard game. Brent, what you got?
Mine's the Dan penetration, one hand throw down. Is my favorite.
I agree.
Had me hyped.
The one hand switch to 2 hand was
Yes.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's,
But
that's
I
right
do
there.
think the Dan one, I went back and watched the Dan one, I think was probably the best one. But
Mhm.
the out of bounds lob that he got fouled on
Yeah,
could have been a top 2 dunk in the history of UC athletics if he converted it.
he just needed a little
And
Mike's secret stuff there at the end.
I'm not even sure it would have been 2 of those top 2.
Ah, man, the helicopter one is just so
It would have been.
legendary.
I know. Trust me. Just saying that one would. I guess with not as much on the line on that dunk. Anyway, I digress. With many folks displeased with the offensive play by Hickman thus far into the season, how much can we attribute his sluggish start to learning the defensive play that Coach Wes Miller wants him to play? I don't know if there's more. I know he only had 2 points in the Howard game, but it seemed to me that he seemed more comfortable in the defense and provided a bit more of a spark on that side with his turnovers. There we go.
I think he's been fine on defense. I think they've just asked him to do so much offensively, be the backup point guard, while also being the starting shooting guard. And then now you're the starting shooting guard, and Day comes back, and now Dan comes back, and you're kind of a backup at shooting guard, or you're still the starter at shooting guard. But I think they've just offensively asked him to do a lot, and that's difficult. It's difficult for a guy to get comfortable when every other week your role is changing.
Yeah. I mean, Bradley was not a bad defensive team last year. I mean, they were 62nd in defensive efficiency. So like he's been playing defense at a pretty high level throughout his entire career. But I just do think it is kind of just the stress of wearing multiple hats has not allowed him to get comfortable in his new setting, which hopefully Saturday is the first day where he's back to it. Kind of like, okay, I like this role. Let's splash in a couple open shots.
Why didn't Nike
Saturday would be a good time.
Yes, it would.
Why didn't Nike make and sell the CJ AI created shoe from the AI game this year?
How would we know that?
Maybe
How would we have an answer to that question?
Maybe it's in the works, huh? Right?
I love when
AI.
Chad just rips the quick ones.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know how do you think I've got somebody at Nike I can call and ask that question?
Above your pay grade.
Yeah, it's above my pay grade.
You just own a website. Wes in 3 games against Xavier at the 12-minute media mark. Down 4, down 12, and down 6. Not saying we will have a lead, but how does the staff ensure we aren't digging out of a hole Saturday? And 2, Conwell seems like the guy, but is there someone on their roster poised to have the crosstown career night against us?
1, your guys have to come out, and I know this sounds stupid. You have to come out playing with better intensity, but not playing tight. Like, you have to walk that balance between being fired up and also being able to make shots and be the team that is creating separation early in the game, as opposed to the team that's on its heels taking punches. That's what's on the coaching staff, is the ability to find that balance of, we're going to be the aggressor, but we're also going to be the team that is putting points on the board, because those slow starts are notorious for how this game has turned out. Not been good.
I think that also simultaneously answered Evan's question in the chat. So that is the end of the basketball portion of the mailbag. Let's round it out with the banks.
Oh, the banks.
And we got 2 questions here. What is one thing that you would purchase with the Cincy Reigns logo that is not available currently?
Wow.
I'm not sure. I'm not really in tune with the merch.
This bar light
Oh,
is not available for purchase currently.
That's not available for purchase. Yeah. I think that'd be a nice one to purchase there. I don't know. Maybe a. I got to check out the merch website. Like Royer said, I'm not quite sure what they do and don't have. I gotta get on it.
Just text BFox.
You're the merch guy, Aaron. What you got?
Ooh, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, like what would you want to purchase that with the Cincy Reigns logo on it?
A hat.
Okay, nice.
I'd rock a headband.
Oh, that could be nice. A little bandana. Okay.
All right. It seems like Brent might be Royer's only friend, given they're the only ones who text about ideas for new riffing with Royer each week.
Facts. Straight facts.
So to make Royer feel less lonely, what's something that Chad and Aaron were talking about with Royer that would be perfect to bring up on new riffing with Royer?
Wait, you guys got a group chat without me? What?
There's just not. It's just we aren't even going to go there.
I would ask. I'd text Ryan and say, what was the most uncomfortable that Brent has ever made him feel? Already knowing the answer.
I don't want to step on Brent's toes.
I know the answer. I'm just curious to see what your answer is.
The most uncomfortable Brent has made me feel.
Yep.
I'm not
every Monday between 8 and 10:30.
Am I supposed to remember this, Aaron? Because it's not coming to my memory.
I was going to say he never makes you feel uncomfortable. I think you love it. I think you love it.
Wow. Saved yourself there. Well, there was this one night in Indy, Royer, if you remember that, when you were in town for Alec. Boy, that was an uncomfortable night, but it was fun. It was fun.
Unfortunately, as the boss, like I have to have different relationships with my employees than the employees have with each other, right? Yeah. Like it's just standard business practice that, I have to hold myself to a different standard.
This isn't a standard business. Get out of here.
Guys.
We have a group chat with the four of us, and Brent and Ryan just don't. They have their own conversation that they don't include Aaron and I in.
I mean,
we talk about random shit.
These are
whenever he's rolling through a good old H-Town, Hilliard, Ohio.
Oh yeah, H-Town. What's that pizza place up there? A little next to the brewery. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course it is.
Now we're talking. Yeah. Sexton. Yeah, that's right. That is right.
There's one late addition to the banks. Who is your pick to win the college football playoff this year?
Well, I like it, 50 Bearcat. Guys, let's just run through it real fast. Let's run through it.
I don't need to run through it. I'm going Oregon. I think Oregon's the best team in the country.
I agree.
I think they win the tournament.
Okay, well, who you got? Ohio State, Tennessee.
Probably, unfortunately, Ohio State, but I would prefer Tennessee.
Okay. Clemson,
I'd like
Texas.
to see the meltdown. What'd you say?
Clemson, Texas.
Texas.
All right. SMU, Penn State. Oh, the Musties.
I got Penn State in Happy Valley.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement here so far.
I don't know, man. I just James Franklin is not a great coach. I'm going SMU with the upset over Penn State.
Wow, I kind of like it.
I think this Indiana Notre Dame is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't. I think Indiana needs to pass the ball. I think Notre Dame's pass defense is elite.
Right.
I think it's going to be a good game.
Tickets are just as expensive as Taylor Swift concert tickets, so I'll tell you that.
$1,200 to get in.
Ridiculous. Yeah, and then you look at that SMU Penn State game; it's like $10. It's like the Big Ten championship game was like to get in was like $5.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had friends that my best friend and his wife are regulars at the Big Ten championship game because they know they can get tickets for like $10 the day of.
Why are they so
They-
cheap?
Well, this one was because Oregon is. I doubt Oregon used their allotment of tickets because they're probably planning for multiple trips throughout this playoff.
Yeah.
But yes, so now we got Texas, Arizona State.
I got Texas.
Arizona State's hot. What I don't like for Arizona State is having that long of a layoff. I think that cools you down some.
True.
So I probably would go Texas there. If it was to be played in the first round,
Yeah.
I would be tempted to go Arizona State there because I just think they're playing better football than Texas right now. But
And neutral field too.
yeah,
Ohio State, Oregon. We're all going Oregon. Let's just get the
Yeah.
Buckeyes out there. Boise State, SMU for Chad. Boise State, Penn State for the other guys.
Penn State.
Ashton
Chad-
Genty, baby.
Oh, wow. Chad's got Boise.
Penn State's got a good front seven, though.
Yeah.
They do for sure.
Notre Dame, Georgia.
It's still James Franklin and still their coach, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they make it to the semifinals, that will double the number of big wins James Franklin has in his time at Penn State.
True. Georgia probably without Carson Beck.
Yeah. I think Notre Dame
Wow.
without Becky.
Marcus to the
Let's
semis
go
against
free.
Boise State.
Come on, free.
Wow. Wow.
Marcus against Penn State, I'm taking Marcus. Like I think if we're going that way, then I think we got Notre Dame in the finals.
So we got
I agree.
Oregon versus Texas, and then so Oregon versus Notre Dame in the finals. Woo!
Duckies.
Oregon's the best team in the country.
Yeah,
I think
yes,
they're legitimately like the most untalked about undefeated team in the history of the sport.
absolutely.
There was so much
That's 'cause
novelty around the 12-team playoff.
Mhm.
Everyone's over Dylan Gabriel. Everyone.
Me too. I don't want to pick Dylan Gabriel to win a national championship. I mean, the guy's
28 years
29
old.
years. He's 29. 29 years. I think he turned 29 last
He
week,
just
Brent.
turned 29. I forgot about that. Yeah.
No way.
No. Royer, you played against him when you were like a sophomore.
I know.
He gave Sauce his nickname.
You're completing what your third year on this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Wait, who? So his head coach used to be the head coach. His head coach at UCF is
Is
now again the head coach at UCF. How
Yeah.
crazy is that?
Where was he before?
Who? Scott Frost?
Yeah, where was he
at
just?
UCF?
No, where was he coming from?
Nebraska, and now
Nebraska?
he's back.
Well, he was in the NFL, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
That's what I meant.
But
I didn't know
he
where
was
he was
at
going.
Nebraska and failed. And then he was
Yeah, I knew
like
that.
an analyst for the Rams or
yeah. It says Los Angeles Rams coaching consultant. Took a year off in
Cool.
2023. Probably had a decent payday from Nebraska.
I would say so.
There you go.
All right.
Hell of a
That's the
show.
mailbag. That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Guys, that week is upon us. Just win, baby. Just win.
Win the
Please.
damn game. Win the damn game. God.
Part of me wants to blow them out. Part of me wants to just win by 8 or less to just end that stupid stat.
7 or less.
7 or
He's
less.
so mad about that stat.
Golly. Come on, guys. Win the damn game. That's right. Crosstown Shootout Week is upon us. 92nd edition. Bearcats. Chance to turn the tide back the right way. 2:00 Saturday. Wear black. Rock Fifth Third Arena. Let's get the dub, guys. There's going to be plenty of action all throughout the week on BCJ. Stay locked in. Of course, portal season is upon us as well on the football side of things. Big guest on the BCJ pod on Wednesday. Make sure you lock in for that. And, of course, Aaron will be keeping it down with a 1s and 2s all throughout the week as well. So for my guys, the pals, the crew, the squad. Shouts to Danco Transition out there. Shouts to Quick Paper Supply. Shouts to New Riff. Shouts to, of course, live from the Cincy Light Studios. But for Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. And again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.